Be me, 19, female, living in Wisconsin. Land of cheese, beer, and passive-aggressive behavior masked as Midwestern nice. Working an office job that sucks the soul out of you, one spreadsheet at a time. It's one of those places with gray carpets, gray walls, and gray people. The kind of job where the highlight of the week is when the vending machine restocks the spicy chips. I'm the youngest person here by at least a decade, fresh out of high school, trying to save money for college, thinking this would be a quiet gig. Boy, was I wrong. Enter Brenda, 46, female, the bane of my existence. She's the office manager, self-appointed guardian of the break room microwave, has that haircut that says, "I demand to speak to the manager." But she is the manager, from day one. She decided I was public enemy number one. Literally the first time I met her. I extended a hand to introduce myself. She just stared at my nails and asked if I could type with those things. They were barely past my fingertips. Strike one. Brenda's entire personality revolves around her sensitivities. She can't handle perfume, can't handle the sound of gum chewing, can't handle fluorescent lights. She has a fan, a heater, and a humidifier running simultaneously at her desk, creating her own personal weather system. She weaponizes therapy speak like a seasoned general. If I accidentally print something to the wrong printer, I'm violating her boundaries. If I leave a spoon in the sink for 5 minutes, I'm creating a toxic environment. It's exhausting. She's married to Gary, 48, male, works in sales just down the hall. Gary is the human equivalent of unbuttered toast. Nice enough, but looks like he's been carrying a heavy backpack for 30 years. He's got that weary look in his eyes. That screams, I just want to watch the game in peace. He's got that quiet way about him that makes people speak over him. Brenda treats him like an unruly toddler, constantly correcting his grammar in front of clients, monitoring his carb intake at company potlucks, slapping his hand away if he reaches for a cookie. Gary, think of your cholesterol. We talked about this in our wellness journey. You can see a little piece of his soul die every time she opens her mouth. I try to stay out of it, keep my head down, do my data entry, listen to podcasts. But being the only young, somewhat fit person in the office paints a target on my back. I'm Latina, petite, and I like to dress well. Not inappropriate, just ellipsis fitted. I don't own shapeless sacks from the clearance rack at Kohl's. Apparently, this is a crime against humanity in Brenda's court of law. She constantly makes snide comments about my clothes. Aren't you cold in that, dear? That color is very ellipsis loud for a Tuesday, isn't it? We try to maintain a professional aesthetic here, not a nightclub vibe. I'm wearing a turtleneck and slacks, Brenda. Meanwhile, she wears festive sweaters with 3D appliques of snowmen. In April, hypocrisy is her love language. Things escalated last week. We had a small office birthday party for Bill in accounting. Stale cake, lukewarm soda, forced socialization. I'm standing near the window, trying to avoid Brenda's gaze. Gary wanders over, holding a plate with a microscopic sliver of cake. He looks like he's committing a heist just by eating it. We start chatting about nothing. Weather, traffic, the Packers. He's actually decent when Brenda isn't hovering. He mentions he and Brenda went to Mexico for their honeymoon 20 years ago. Then he drops the bomb. Tries to be charming, I guess. I've always admired Latino women, he says, his voice lowering a bit. You guys have such ellipsis fire. Brenda is very ellipsis steady. It was awkward, a little creepy, sure, but mostly just sad. He looks at me for a beat too long, eyes drifting down, then snapping back up like he touched a hot stove. I laugh it off, excuse myself, and go back to my desk. But Brenda saw. She has eyes like a hawk spotting a field mouse. She was across the room, aggressively organizing plastic forks, but her head swiveled like an owl. The rest of the week, she was a nightmare. Sent me 3 emails about proper break room etiquette, claimed my lunch, leftover empanadas, was assaulting her olfactory senses. moved the thermostat down to Arctic levels, because she knows I get cold easily. Friday morning rolls around. I wake up and choose violence. I'm tired of being the punching bag. I'm tired of her policing my body and my existence. If she thinks I'm a threat, maybe I should act like one. Just a little, just to rattle her cage. I put on my favorite outfit. High-waisted tailored slacks that fit perfectly. A silk blouse that's professional but definitely not a sack. Hair done. Makeup on point. I walk into the office like I own the place. Brenda is at the front desk, sorting mail. She looks up, eyes narrowing instantly. Going somewhere after work, she sneers. Just looking presentable, Brenda. I smile sweetly. Dress for the job you want, not the job you have, right? She turns a shade of purple, usually reserved for bruised plums. I breeze past her office and head straight for the sales floor. I need to drop off a file for Gary. Usually, I just put it in his inbox and leave. Today, I knock on his door frame. He looks up, startled, sees me, eyes widen. Hey, Gary, got those quarterly reports for you, I say, walking in. I don't just drop the file. I stand by his desk and make casual conversation. Smell of my perfume drifts into the room. Vanilla-based, nothing dramatic. He freezes. Awkward. Like someone caught off guard by a compliment. Oh, thanks, Elena, he stammers. Nice pants, he blurts out, then looks terrified. I smile, looking him dead in the eye. Thank you, Gary. Glad you noticed. I hold the eye contact, for 3 seconds too long. He turns bright red, starts shuffling papers nervously. So, big weekend plans? He asks, voice cracking. Not really, I say. Just relaxing. Maybe I'll do some reading. I give him a small, knowing grin, not cruel, just a nudge to remind him I exist. I leave his office. Swaying down the hallway. Like I'm walking through a hallway in slow motion. I can feel his eyes on me. The whole way out. I walk past Brenda's desk. She's watching me. In the reflection of her computer monitor. I give a little wave. Game on. The day drags on. Brenda leaves at 4 p.m. sharp. She has a water aerobics for sensitive joints. Class. She always makes a big production of leaving. Packing her bag. Sighing loudly. Reminding everyone she's off the clock. Gary and I work until 5 p.m. At 4:45 p.m., my instant messenger pings. It's Gary. Hey, I'm swamped with these invoices. Any chance you could stay a bit late and help me sort them? I can order dinner. I stare at the screen. This is it. Or so it feels. I know exactly what this is. A desperate reach for normalcy. From a man who looks starved for something that isn't on a spreadsheet. I type back, sure, Gary. Happy to help. The office empties out. Janitorial staff starts vacuuming the far end of the hallway. It's quiet. The hum of the computers seems louder. I walk over to his office at 5:05 p.m. He's sitting there. Tie loosened. Looking stressed. But not for the reasons of work. Thanks for staying, he says. Standing up. Brenda usually helps me with this, but she had her class. Mentioning the wife immediately. The comfort of claiming normalcy. It's no problem, I say. Sitting in the chair opposite him. What are we working on? We pretend to look at spreadsheets for 20 minutes. He's not reading a thing. He's looking tired, watching me pick at the corner of a document, like it's the most interesting thing in the world. The air in the room feels thick, with something that isn't business. I'm aware of it, cataloging it like an anthropologist in someone's private moment. I'm enjoying the small vindication of being seen by someone who rarely gets noticed. Petty, sure, but human. I'm starving, he says suddenly. Let's go grab a bite, my treat. Expenses. I nod, sure, I could eat. We walk out to the parking lot. He drives a sensible, mid-sized sedan, beige interior, smells like vanilla car freshener, and a lot of suppressed conversation. I get in the passenger seat. He gets in. Doesn't start the car immediately. Just sits there. gripping the steering wheel. We're alone in the dark parking lot, only the streetlights buzzing overhead. "You look really nice today, Elena," he says quietly. I turn to him, shift my body, so I'm facing him, the easiest way I can in the cramped space. "Thanks, Gary, you've said that." "I know. I just, ellipsis. I don't say things like that often." "Why not?" I ask, curious more than anything. "Brenda doesn't like compliments," he says, like a rehearsed excuse. He exhales, like he's been holding his breath for years. She's ellipsis particular. She thinks focusing on appearance is superficial. I watch him struggle with the words. There's hunger there. But it's not sexual. It's a hunger for being acknowledged as a person. Outside of a caregiver role. Outside of being corrected at dinner parties. He looks at me differently. Not as an object, but as another human, who's unexpectedly listening. "I think you're kind," he says, voice softer than before. The atmosphere shifts, from flirtatious to fragile. I should stop. Close the car door, and go home to boring, safe silence. But the adrenaline of doing something outside my routine, of witnessing a crack in Brenda's armor, feels like fuel. I reach out and place a hand on his arm, in a gesture that is comforting, not provocative. He shudders, like someone surprised by an act of plain human kindness. His hands tremble slightly, as he covers mine for a moment, and then lets go. Not with greed, but with gratitude. "Maybe we shouldn't go to a restaurant," I suggest, because crowds and chatter feel wrong for this. It's loud and crowded. "Maybe we go somewhere quiet." He swallows hard. "Like where?" "We could talk," I say. "Like ellipsis adult talk. About work stuff, boundaries, whatever." He nods, relieved for the permission to be candid, in a place that isn't being policed by someone else's expectations. We drive in silence that isn't heavy. It's the kind of quiet where people listen to themselves think. We end up at my apartment building, because it's close, and because the idea of a neutral, public place felt more performative than the truth of what he needed. I unlock the door, and we step inside. The space is small and messy, but it's mine. Not curated, not judged. He stands in the middle of the room, looking out of place, in his business casual attire. "Nice place," he mumbles. "It's a mess," I say, tossing my keys on the counter. He seems unsure how to bridge the gap between his life and the one that exists beyond Brenda's watchful eyes. We sit on the couch, side by side, but not touching. He starts talking in a way he never does at work, about feeling invisible, about always being corrected, about wanting to have a voice that isn't smoothed down by someone else's idea of propriety. He confesses small things, how he laughs at TV shows when Brenda isn't looking, how he misses late-night walks, how he sometimes feels like he's playing a part he didn't audition for. His voice cracks a couple of times. I listen. I ask questions that aren't leading, just open. "What would you change? When did it start feeling like this?" He gets quiet, then blurts out memories, like someone clearing debris. Honeymoon photos. A moment when they stopped dancing in the kitchen. A dozen little compromises that stacked into resentment. For a few minutes, we trade stories, like two people trying to understand how the other got where they are. He gets choked up, rubbing his thumb along his forehead, jaw tight. I offer a tissue. He takes it. And for a second, we're both just people in a small apartment, sharing an awkward, real human moment. There's no romance in it, no suggestion of sex. Just two humans touching base, with the loneliness that sometimes lives inside marriages and jobs. We talk until the sky outside grows darker. He confesses he sometimes thinks about leaving. Not me, not this moment, but leaving the pattern he's trapped in. I tell him leaving is complicated, and that the world outside a marriage isn't always kinder. He nods, the realization making him flinch, like a bruise reopening. Eventually, the panic creeps back in. He looks at his watch and startles. Brenda expects me home by 7 p.m., he says, panic flickering in his eyes. He stands up, suddenly aware of the rules he's been bending, by simply speaking the truth out loud. I have to go, he says, voice hollow. I know, I say, crossing my arms, because I need something steady. In the wobble of the moment. It never happened, he mutters, more to himself than to me, as if repeating it. We'll stitch the world back together. He collects himself at the door, smoothing his shirt like armor, then turns to me, with a look that's equal parts apology and gratitude. Thank you, he says, voice small. Then he's gone. Door closes. I hear his footsteps running down the stairs. Engine starts. Car peels away. I'm alone in my apartment. It smells faintly of his cologne. The ordinary trace of a complicated human encounter. I sink onto the floor and stare at the ceiling. The adrenaline fades, replaced by a cold pit in my stomach. I didn't sleep with my boss's husband. I didn't betray anyone physically, but I did cross into someone's private life in a way that feels messy and morally ambiguous. I made a choice to listen and be present. And now I have to live with the consequences of being visible in a place where visibility is dangerous. The weekend is a blur of anxiety. I stay inside, binge watch mindless reality TV. Every time my phone buzzes, I jump, terrified it's a text from him, or worse, from her. Sunday night, I can't sleep. I stare at my closet. What do I wear tomorrow? The power suit feels tainted now. The confidence is gone, replaced by paranoia. Monday morning arrives, like a death sentence. I drive to work, stomach churning, park in my usual spot, see Gary's car 2 spots down. Oh God. I walk into the building. Security guard nods at me. Elevator ride feels like it takes 10 years. Doors open. I step onto the gray carpet. The air feels different, heavy, charged. I walk to my desk, keep my head down, pass Brenda's office. She's there, typing furiously. Humidifier blasting steam like a dragon. She looks up as I pass. Eyes lock on mine. Does she know? Can she smell him on me? Does she have a sixth sense for crisis? She scowls. You're 2 minutes late, she barks. Traffic, I mumble. Scurrying to my cubicle. I sit down, heart hammering against my ribs. I turn on my computer, try to work. 10 minutes later, Gary walks by. He's heading to the break room. He doesn't look at me, stares straight ahead, face pale, like he's seen a ghost. He walks with a stiff, unnatural gait. Brenda yells from her office. Gary, did you remember to bring the lactose-free creamer? He flinches visibly. Yes, Brenda, he calls back, voice cracking. It's in the fridge. Make sure it's the almond one, not the oat one. Oat spikes my glycemic index. He disappears into the break room. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. An hour passes. I need coffee. I have to go to the break room. I time it so Brenda is on a call. I sneak in. Gary is there, staring at the coffee pot like it holds the secrets of the universe. He hears me enter, turns around. His eyes are wide, frantic. She knows, he whispers. My blood runs cold. What? I hiss. How? Did you tell her? No, of course not. But she, ellipsis. She was sniffing my shirt on Saturday. Sniffing your shirt? Yeah. She said I smelled different. Musky, she called it. She asked if I changed detergents. That's not knowing, Gary. That's her being crazy. No, you don't understand. She's been watching me. Asking questions. Who were you with on Friday? Why were you hungry when you got home if you ate at the office? What did you say? I said I had a late lunch, but I'm a terrible liar, Elena. My left eye twitches when I lie. I stare at his left eye. It is currently vibrating. Calm down, I say, gripping the counter. If you freak out, she will know. Act normal. Be the unbuttered toast, Gary. He nods frantically. Toast. Right, I can be toast. Just then, the door opens. Brenda. She stands there, framed in the doorway, like a demon. From the seventh circle of our hell. She looks at Gary, then at me, then back at Gary, her eyes narrow to slits. What are you two whispering about? She demands. Her voice is low and suspicious. Gary freezes. Deer in headlights. I step in. Gary was just telling me about the new filing system protocols, I say, forcing a smile. Very fascinating stuff, Brenda. Efficiency is key. Right? She stares at me, unblinking, like a reptile. Filing protocols, she repeats. Gary doesn't know the first thing about filing. He still thinks alphabetical is a suggestion. She steps into the room, closing the distance. She sniffs the air. Literally sniffs. Like a bloodhound. There's that smell again, she mutters, looking directly at me. Vanilla and ellipsis. Something cheap. My perfume is vanilla-based. She knows. She absolutely knows. Or she suspects enough. To make my life misery. Gary, come with me, she snaps. We need to discuss your sodium intake for the week. I found a pretzel wrapper in your jacket pocket. She glares at me one last time. And you. Get back to work. Company time is not social hour. She grabs Gary by the arm, drags him out. He looks back at me, terrified, mouthing help me. I stand there, alone, in the break room, staring at the drip coffee maker. I am screwed. So incredibly screwed. I go back to my desk, but I can't focus. Every time I hear footsteps, I flinch. At lunch, I hide in my car, eating a sad sandwich, while watching the office door, debating if I should just drive away and never come back, maybe change my name, move to Idaho, become a potato farmer. Anything is better than this. I go back inside at 1 p.m. An email from Har hits my inbox. Sender, Brenda. CC, head of Har, who is Brenda's sister-in-law. Subject, improper workplace attire and conduct. Body. It has come to my attention that certain dress codes are being flaunted. Effective immediately. All skirts must be below the knee, no sleeveless tops, and no perfume due to sensory sensitivities. Also, fraternizing between departments is discouraged to maintain productivity. She's legislating me out of existence, declaring war via employee handbook. I look over at Gary's office. Blinds are drawn, usually they're open. I can see his silhouette, pacing back and forth. Later that afternoon, I go to the printer to get a document. Brenda intercepts me. She blocks the hallway. Arms crossed, wearing a cardigan. That looks like it was made from a grandmother's couch. I see you got my email, she says, smirk playing on her lips. Loud and clear, Brenda. Good. We value ellipsis purity. Ellipsis in this office environment. She emphasizes the word purity, like it's a weapon. And transparency, she adds. Gary tells me everything, you know. Eventually, my stomach drops. Is she bluffing? Is she trying to crack me? He's a very loyal husband, she says, stepping closer, invading my personal bubble. He knows where his bread is buttered. And who controls the butter? I'm sure he does, I manage to say. Stay away from him, she hisses. Mask slipping for a second, pure venom in her eyes. I know what you are. You're trouble. You're a disruption. I'm just an employee, Brenda. You're a little harlot, she whispers, and I will have you fired. For cause. I'm watching you. Every move, every timestamp, every glance. She smiles then. A terrifying, plastic smile. Have a blessed day. She turns and walks away, heels clicking on the gray tile. Click, click, click. Like a countdown. I grab my papers. Hands shaking so bad, I almost drop them. I walk back to my desk, sit down, stare at the screen. I check my phone. Text from Gary. She's going through my phone logs tonight. Delete everything. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I delete his number, delete the text thread, delete the call log. My heart is racing at 1,000,000 miles an hour. I look at the clock, 2:30 p.m. 2.5 hours to go. I can feel Brenda's eyes boring into the back of my skull from her office. Gary is hiding in his office with the blinds down. I am 19 years old. I make $14 an hour, and I am currently in the middle of a Cold War with a woman who owns a laminator and isn't afraid to use it. I look at the reflection in my monitor, adjust my collar, take a deep breath. This isn't over. It's just beginning. And I have a feeling that by the time this is done, one of us isn't going to be working here anymore. And for the first time, I'm terrified it might be me, or worse, that I'll still be here, trapped in this gray hell, with Gary the Toast and Brenda the Dragon, forever. Phone rings. It's the extension. From the front desk. Brenda. I pick up. Yes? Alina, could you come to the front? There's a package here for you. What kind of package? It looks personal. Very ellipsis large. Flowers, perhaps? From a secret admirer? Her voice is dripping with sarcasm. I freeze. Did Gary send flowers? The idiot. The absolute moron. I didn't order anything. Well, they're here. Come collect them. They are triggering my allergies. I hang up, stand up, walk to the front. Everyone is watching. The whole office senses. The blood in the water. I round the corner. There's no flowers, just Brenda, holding a pink slip and a cardboard box. Change of plans, she says, grin stretching from ear to ear. We're restructuring. Last in, first out. You can't do this, I say, voice trembling. Oh, I can, she says, tapping a policy binder on her desk. At-will employment, dear. Wisconsin state law. No reason needed. She shoves the box at me. Pack your things. Escort is required for terminated employees. I look past her. Gary's door opens. He steps out, sees me holding the box. Sees Brenda smiling like a shark. And then he stops, looks at me, looks at her, and then he turns around, goes back into his office, and shuts the door. Click. The sound of betrayal. The sound of a coward. I look at Brenda. She winks. Bye-bye now. I take the box, walk to my desk, sweep my trinkets into it. Stapler, mug, hand sanitizer. I walk out. Past the gray cubicles. Past the gray people. Out into the parking lot. Sun is shining. Birds are singing. It feels fake. I get in my car, toss the box in the back seat, look at the building. One last time. See the blinds in Gary's office twitch. He's watching, hiding. I start the car, laugh. A harsh, bitter sound. I lost the job, but she has to live with him, and he has to live with himself. I put it in drive, turn up the radio, peel out of the lot, leaving tire marks on the asphalt. Fuck Wisconsin, fuck Gary, and especially fuck Brenda. My phone buzzes. Unknown number. Voicemail. I let it go. Drive toward the highway. Don't look back. Never look back. Life is too short. For gray carpets and unbuttered toast. The end.